Together again on the couch.
We don't have shoes on. And there's a reason. Look at these feet. We're gonna do foot porn. No, just kidding. We're not doing foot porn.
No.
We're kind of doing foot porn now.
Yes, we are. We're switching it up today. We're taking ourselves off the couch and going into some movement-based drills, as JJ and I are experts in movement efficiency and things like this. So we're going to be talking about feet.
Feet. Love
Let's
the feet.
see what these.
Why are the feet so important?
Yes. So feet are so important for a variety of reasons. One of them, if we were to geek out a little bit, is something called mechanoreceptors. So mechano, you can think like mechanical, and a mechanic that is just fixing up all your stuff with love in his heart. So when we move things that have a lot of joints in it, like our feet, our hands, and our spine, it gives a ton of information up into the brain, and the brain loves as much information that it can receive because it wants to make good and accurate decisions.
Okay, love that.
Yes.
And you mentioned joints and muscles. I was interested, you told me before, how many muscles and joints and all, like, you kind of look at your foot and you're like, it's pretty small, but for the little bit of real estate that it takes up, there are a lot of pieces in it.
Yes. You have 26 bones in your feet. I believe it's 56 different articulations, and the ligament list can probably go on and on because there's tiny little ligaments that will hold one little bone to another little bone. So we have a lot of things going on in our feet, and it's also something that we walk around on every day. So not only to have the strength and the mobility for something that we're walking around on every day, but also that mechanoreceptor feedback, but generally the feedback of everything coming in. So as we grow up and we age, oftentimes we kind of bind our feet up in shoes and kind of block some information coming in. And then that can make us a little more wary on our balance. Maybe we're a little more tipsy, we're a little more cautious when we walk. And so the fact of like getting barefoot and doing foot drills, or even if you're not barefoot, but bringing awareness onto your feet can once again increase that brain space where we want our brain to have a lot of information, a lot of real estate, and a lot of avenues and pathways to get information so that way we can maintain our balance, we have less likely of falling, we also have strong feet so we can run like half marathons like JJ just recently did, and the list continues on.
So it's fascinating. So the foot, really, really small, but like tons of stuff, tons of joints, tons of ligaments, tons of muscles in there. So tons of stuff, lots of opportunity for things to not move or function appropriately, right? You mentioned like stuffing our feet, often in like not the best shoes, walking around on man-made surfaces, not doing foot mobility, like there's so many muscles in there. Like people kind of know, oh, like my knee hurts, so I do stretches for my knee, or my hip hurts, I do stretches for that, or I foam on my back. But most people I know don't do stuff for their feet. They don't address all of that stuff. They're like, well, it's my feet, why would I stretch that? So, lots of opportunity for things to go wrong, and as Morgan said, because of, all the information that the brain requires from our feet in terms of like where we are in space and what move we're gonna do next. It's kind of like a recipe for disaster. If we don't take care of them, our brain, we could have pain, right? We could have injury to the foot. We could be starving our brain for the information it needs to make the best decisions. And then also, in my case, and I've seen in many other people's cases, there'll be something, I for years had pain in my right lower back. Long story short, it turns out that pain was related or influenced largely by an issue with my left foot. My left foot didn't flex as much as it should. And so I would like shift all over to the right kind of unknowingly and put a lot of pressure on that right side of my back. So then I fixed my foot working with Morgan, and that pain is now gone. So there's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of areas where there's a lot of opportunity where we can like improve like our pain, our performance, our everything like up the chain, not just with the feet. So let's do some foot strength.
We can definitely improve our lives, that's for sure. And so what we're gonna kind of review today is some of these drills that, yes, we're working on our feet, but we can also link that up, just as JJ did, with different parts of our body. So he was having some issues with his lower back because he was shifting to the side. Now, however, we're gonna go over some ones today where if you're having pain in the front of your hip, you don't have to actually even know the name of your quadratus femoris or whether your patella tendon is aligned or anything like that. But just thinking about when I'm tracing up a line, okay, the middle of my foot, the middle of my hip flexor, the outside of my hip, the outside of my heel. So when we're doing some of these mobility things, we're opening up a joint, and when a joint is mobilized and open, it can communicate clearly to the brain, versus a jammed joint that's kind of like blocked and jammed, that's actually going to create global weakness or weakness up a chain. So not only we're going to create some mobility, but we're also going to do a little bit of strengthening at the end. So we can help open up areas of your hip and the rest of your body in addition to your foot. And then we're also going to strengthen that foot so you have better motor control and movement when you're walking around and enjoying life.
Cool, let's do it. Let's start with some mobility drills and then some strength stuff and get to it.
And just like that, we're standing at a different angle so you can see our feet.
Okay, let's mobilize these feet, these beautiful feet.
Yes. So the first one.
I don't know, mine are a little ugly too, but that's okay. I love your feet.
They're gorgeous.
I love your feet.
Yes,
I
we
love
love
your
our feet.
You thought I cut my toenail.
I like told JJ, I was like, we're gonna do foot stuff today, so
They're pretty clean.
clean or dirty, we love our feet, and I do love to actually look at my feet all the time and tell them how much I love them, because it's so nice. So the first one we're gonna do, not that there's ever gonna be a pop quiz, but if you wanna know some fun terms, because anatomy words can be also really fun, there's a bone called the cuboid. It's on the outside of the foot, and if you were to take your fingers and you want to palpate, I'm gonna go on my ankle bone and my heel, and then I just bring those two fingers together, and right around there on the outside is a cuboid bone.
Tiny little ledge, you can feel it.
Yeah. And so this one is going to be correlated. We go outside of the foot. Once again, as I said earlier, can correlate with any outside of hip pain or outside of hip weakness. If you've done a bunch of band walks and you just can't get your glutes going.
Yeah, if you've seen people doing like, if you've ever been to PT or, worked with a trainer and they put a band around your ankles or your knees and make you go like that, they're trying to get your glute medius to fire, because often it doesn't fire in a lot of folks, and then it can cause injury or pain in your knee, especially with runners. So if you're a runner, if you just know from past experience that you have glute med issues, this might be something that you want to do.
Yeah. And
plus, or any human, it'll just feel good. So.
It'll feel good, and it's really helping our foot communicate to our hip, right? When we want to kind of have the two talking to each other and having some fun. So for this one, as always, some contraindications. One, we never want to do these if there is active swelling, inflammation. If we just had a surgery, if maybe we have bone issues or even potentially cancer in bones, things like this, we want to make sure that we have checked, because we are not licensed medical professionals, we are trainers, but also that you meet yourself where you're at. So while we'll do these ones standing, know that you can always do this modified seated, lying down even.
Or one, I'll grab, sorry, I disappeared and now I come back. I'll keep this on hand, so sometimes if I do like, I have a little Gandalf stick, so in case we need a Gandalf stick.
Exactly, because we want to maintain when we're doing any of these drills and exercises, because we're re-educating our nervous system. It's like downloading a new software program. You want to make sure that the software program is loaded properly. So we want to have good breathing, so that way we're not holding our breath. Also good posture, like we're not slumped. And that you're kind of finding length in your spine. Your breath is under control. And if you need, because sometimes balance can make you wobbly, holding onto something like the dowel or the side of a table, or even taking it down once again to a seated position. So your nervous system is going to be trained efficiently. And as always, I also like to preface, we don't want to move into pain. If there is pain, back off, and you still want to explore it. It's kind of finding that threshold, so then we're also re-educating our system to not be like, oh, every time I do this, it hurts. You want to find a place that every time you do it, it doesn't hurt.
I always tell clients, intensity is fine, pain is not okay.
Yes. Yeah, pain is something that takes your breath away. Discomfort is something you can breathe through. So finding that threshold.
Do it.
Let's do it. We're going to take one foot forward, and then I'm going to turn my toes inward. This kind of opens up that foot space, and then I'm going to let the whole inside of my foot come up as I tilt out. And as we start this, I am going to just be maintaining actually my center of mass, so like my body weight is kind of actually on my left leg in the back. And then as I want to intensify it, I'm going to start to push my hips over top.
Yeah.
And if you are a runner, this is a great practice, because if I step off of a ledge and I twist my ankle, if my nervous system has been here a million times before, it's less likely to want to tighten up and protect you and create an ankle sprain.
So you do like shift your weight into that left foot.
Yeah, and I would probably say try and keep that right knee, or your left knee straight. Ankle tuck. I'm opening up the space between my heel and my ankle bone.
Oh, gotcha.
Gotcha.
Now I'm gonna do it on the other side. Take my toes,
Oh.
step forward, take my toes to the side, and tilt.
Inside. There we go.
Yeah. And I'll point on JJ, we're opening up the space in between here. Now letting the heel come up, and then all the way
let the heel
forward.
come up.
No, you can let your heel be flat, but the
gotcha.
inside of your heel come up.
Oh, gotcha.
And, and then it comes back down.
Gotcha.
There you go.
On the inside. Oh, yeah.
Good, and once again, this correlates, you don't even have to know the names of anything, but if you ever have pain in the side of your hip,
That's
try
right.
these drills and see how it feels.
Oh, that's a good one. That's new to me.
Now, one that a lot of people
Oh,
have discomfort
that feels
with, and as a trainer, I rarely talk to someone who doesn't talk about their hip flexors being tight.
I feel so good. That's the thing. Afterwards, like when we do stuff like that, clients are always like walking around like my legs feel lighter.
Yes.
Like we didn't touch your legs. We just moved around your feet. So it's
That's right.
interesting.
I know, our perception of the world might change just by working on our feet. So now, we're gonna be working on your intermedius cuneiform.
I don't even know what that one is. You're so smart. Wait, that's the muscle in the foot, the joint in the foot?
It's a bone in your
It's a
foot.
bone in your, okay.
There's actually 3 of them, which is why it's intermedius, because it's the middle.
Okay, gotcha.
So we're gonna work on the middle one, because the middle one will correlate with the middle of your thigh, which is your hip flexor.
Okay.
So for this one, if I was to take my 2 fingers on either side of my heel, or my ankle bones, excuse me, I would just pull them right inward and then go down till you find like a little kind of groove or notch down
Oh,
there.
it's kind of like below the talus.
Yes, it is.
I know some things.
Yes, you do.
I know my talus was the thing that was wonkified. Okay.
Yes. Everyone needs to feel
But you can
that.
definitely feel that little. They say like, and you learn in massage therapy school, like
Very technical names for things. We would call it, what did you call it?
Your cuneiform?
The-
Intermedius cuneiform?
The sticky pointy outy bits.
Yes.
So you can find that sticky pointy outy bit right there.
That also works. Exactly. It's your mind. You paid here. Let's just do this. So for this one, I also will encourage, it can be cramping in the foot and different things like that. So you can always roll up a towel or a blanket and have your foot come over top of it. But I'm going to take the top of my foot, my toenail side, down. Yeah, use that dowel.
So
And I can either, if I'm using a mirror, or just check behind me. I want to make sure that my heel is pointing straight back. That way I'm hitting my target of the middle part of my
right,
foot.
so not like that.
Yeah, which is its own drills. And if you want more drills, you can contact JJ and I. We'll give you more drills to do. But we're going to keep it short and simple and work the hip flexor. So once I find that pull, maybe I'm holding there, but as I deepen it, I'm going to bend into my front knee and press my back leg as straight as I can. Oh yeah.
Snaps.
Snap, snap, snap.
Snap,
I mean,
snap.
I even feel the stretch in the hip flexor.
Yeah, I feel a little nuts.
But also the goal of it too is opening up the front of that joint and kind of mobilizing the joint will help it communicate with this part of the hip to decrease your pain. Good. And I'm gonna try it on the other side.
Yeah. But that's how you would do so pull.
I'll show you from this side where I'm gonna come to a seat
Oh.
and I just kind of.
It is remarkable how I mean, it can be very intense.
Absolutely. Cramping is normal, but also when you think of cramping as like a re-education, your muscles are like, what?
Yeah, I find I don't cramp if I haven't taken care of my feet and I'm like, oh, that's why I'm achy all over and feel like the. And then I will often, like a few hours after stretching, like when I'm laying on the couch that night, my foot will cramp. Or Peter will walk by and like rub it and I'm like, oh.
That just means your feet get a little more love.
Oh.
Okay, we just mobilized some things and now we're gonna strengthen them.
Yeah, so this one is super simple. So what we just did was like mostly for mobilizing joints, like taking joints that are like stuck and like getting them to move and groove how they're supposed to. And also lengthening muscles, like everyone sort of understands that idea of like, the muscles on the top of my foot, not only did we like mobilize that sticky pointy outy bit by like getting it to move, but we lengthened all the muscles and the ligaments on the tops of our feet that might have been like, So that's great. Like proper movement or dysfunction in movement usually comes from 2 things happening: lack of mobility, right? So we took care of that or worked on that, and then weakness. Right? So in addition to mobilizing your feet, we also want to strengthen the intrinsic. Intrinsic just means like inside, like all the little muscles that are inside of the feet. Okay? So super simple. So we took care of things that were too tight or locked up. We made them juicy and mobile. Now we want to make sure that we're doing something to strengthen our feet. Okay? So this one is really, really simple. You can just you can sit for this. And just kind of relax your feet for a second. And then you're gonna make foot fists, like you would with your hands, as tight as you can. We're gonna hold it for 3 seconds. I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, relax. I don't know why I feel like I need to raise my feet up. 1, 2, 3, relax. We'll do 10. 3, 2, make a fist. 3. Good. It's not just with my toes, right? Now I'm just doing my toes, but try to foot fist. 4, 3, 3, and 5, 2, 3. You do it right, you start to sweat a little bit.
For sure.
2, 3, 7, 2, 3, 8, 2, 3, 9, 2, 3, and 10, 2, and 3. Good. So you're strengthening the muscles in the arch of your foot and the muscles of your toes, muscles on the top of your feet. So it's just a really nice thing to do. Like I have clients who do this while they're sitting at their desk, right? They're on a Zoom and they're like, yes, 1, 2, 3. No, just kidding. So mobilize your feet, strengthen your feet, see how that feels, see if that improves your gait, see if that reduces some of your pain. See if it helps you run a little bit faster or jump a little bit higher. You'd be really, really surprised. And just to reiterate, as Morgan said, pain is no good, intensity is fine. So like my feet are definitely feeling like very awake right now. It feels lovely.
Yes, that's a great time. You can go for a walk and enjoy those Tootsies.
All right.
All right, here's another episode of Coach Talks.
Bye.